Warning. Pregnant women, the elderly, and children under 16 should avoid prolonged exposure to Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler may suddenly accelerate to dangerous speeds. Dirt Diggler has high gluten content and is not kosher, halal, or vegan safe. Do not ingest Dirt Diggler, as Dirt Diggler is for external use only. Discontinue listening to Dirt Diggler if any of the following occurs: itching, vertigo, dizziness, discoloration of urine, tingling in extremities, loss of balance or coordination, slurred speech, temporary blindness, profuse sweating, heart palpitations, increased use of profanity. If listening to Dirt Diggler gives you an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, you're welcome. Listening to Dirt Diggler may lead to unplanned pregnancies. If Dirt Diggler begins to smoke, get away immediately. Seek shelter and cover head. Dirt Diggler may stick to certain types of skin. When not in use, Dirt Diggler should be returned to a special container and kept under refrigeration. The ingredients of Dirt Diggler include, but are not limited to, a glowing substance which fell to the earth, presumably from outer space, and bad memories. Do not taunt Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler does not come with a lifetime guarantee. Dirt Diggler, enjoy the show.
Extra heat.
Once again, it's Dirt Diggler, the dirtiest diggler to ever diggler if a dirt could diggler. All right, so quick thing. So you hear like a gurgling thing in the background. You're like, that sounds like a fish tank, because it's a fish tank. Either way, so a lot of things happened since I last got on here, right? There's been a lot of football games. There's been some injuries. There's been some things happening, and we're going to cover all those things. Well, a lot of those things, the things that I feel like covering. How about that? We'll cover the things that I feel like covering, and you'll be happy with that because I promise it to be entertaining. So let's kick it off. Today we're going to be covering the death of RG3. We're going to be going over each game. We're going to cover how Dallas and Washington both lost and how happy that makes me. We're going to do a special segment called What the Fuck Buffalo. Close games and shitty officiating, my uneducated predictions. We're going to actually cover some Philly media fuckery because there's some fuckery in the Philly media, and beer of the week and the Phillies and my thoughts on them. Which, if you've listened, you know how I feel about them. But we're going to cover it again for those who may have not heard in the back. So first thing, right? The death of RG3. So all right. We all knew this was going to happen. Just like we knew it was going to happen. We knew that things in Cleveland would not end well with regards to RG3. We knew it would go badly. The only question was like when and how, right? How is it going to go bad? When is it going to go bad? Right now the Browns are snake bitten, and RG3 is the perpetual victim of his own hubris. If you've paid attention and you're not a fanboy homer, you realize that he can't get out of his way. His own hubris of thinking he's going to do great at everything because he's told he was going to do great at everything is his greatest fault. Is his I don't know. His arrogance, his hubris. Hubris is the word. Either way, and the Browns are snake bitten. The Browns, no matter what decision they make, will be the wrong decision. And honestly, this is a team that decided, they didn't think that Carson Wentz was a top 20 quarterback, and they hitched their wagon to RG3 and him being successful. So it's only poetic. It's the most Browns thing that can happen for the Browns to go to Philly and lose to Carson Wentz and lose RG3 in the process. That's the only way that could have happened. If they would have decided to draft Carson Wentz, then Carson Wentz would have just equated to be a bust. Like, it's just the weirdest dynamic over there in Cleveland, and honestly, it's starting to defy all logic because no matter what decision they make and what logic they apply, it's wrong. I don't know how you can do that, but there it is. So I saw RG3 going out by week 4 with a concussion or a knee injury because he's got a history of those. So if you predicted a week 1 shoulder injury, I'm going to say that you need to start playing the lotto because you apparently can see in the future, because I would not have called a shoulder injury in week 1 to be what takes down RG3. That's kind of like the Steve Irwin Stingray death. Like, everyone saw Snake Croc or something else like that. No one saw Stingray during diving being what ultimately killed him. And, rest his soul. But still, wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a moment out of our day to remember the career of Bob. Dearly beloved, we gather here today to lay to rest the football career of Robert Griffin Jr. His career was struck down in the city of Philadelphia, where once again for the last time, he severely injured himself. Robert Griffin Jr. somehow collided with a defender who appeared to be blocked during a scramble and broke a bone in his shoulder, placing him on injured reserve. His career was born on the Baylor campus in 2008, where he went on to do amazing things such as win a Heisman Trophy as a quarterback, joining the illustrious ranks of timeless players like Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel, Matt Leinart, Sam Bradford, Jason White, Gino Torretta, and Eric Crouch, before being drafted in 2012 by Washington, second overall. 2012 would be the highlight of his career, as he was an electric player who led Washington to a divisional championship before being struck down with his first serious NFL injury, marking the beginning of the end. The following seasons were far less spectacular, combining football incompetence with injury, finally culminating in his release and signing to Cleveland, which many feel is the football equivalent to entering hospice care, and they would be correct. With 3 minutes, 43 seconds left in the fourth quarter in Philadelphia, his career took its final gasp before laying silent, finally at peace. Robert Griffin Jr.'s career is survived by many ill-advised endorsements and poorly thought-out quotes. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a moment to remember Robert Griffin Jr.'s career. All right. So with that being said and done, let's go into the week one happenings, right? So my uneducated predictions are actually quite accurate as far as the winner and loser. I'm 11-4 right now because I don't do Thursday games, right? So the game between the Panthers and the Broncos, week one, I didn't really predict that game because it was already in the books by the time I got in the booth. So I didn't really do much on that. But I'm 11-4. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, we'll see if I can stretch that streak. And, that's pretty good. It's pretty good percentage. So the point spread was mostly incorrect for me, right? But I was pretty close with regards to Chicago and Houston and Philadelphia and Cleveland. I was pretty close in my predictions for that game as far as the points. So if you're going to hitch your gambling wagon to me, which I do not condone gambling at all, but if you're going to be an idiot, go ahead and understand that you can take the winner and loser, but don't take me for the spread because I'm probably going to be wrong. So let's go over the actual game. So the Bills lost to the Ravens, and the offense was pretty stagnant, right? And now it gives Baltimore this false sense of having a noteworthy defense. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably not. It's probably not. But if you're a Ravens fan, I mean, you can take comfort in the week one win against a team that's now currently 0-2. Take comfort in that. Think your defense is like a reincarnation of 2000 defense. Well, understand it's probably not. Your true test will come when you start playing your division rivals in Cincinnati and in Pittsburgh. If your defense stands up to those teams, then you can say you're legit. But until then, no, you can't do that. The Jags gave the Packers all the business, didn't they? Like, Aaron Rodgers had to pull several magic rabbits out of his ass on that one. Like, really, I did not see the Jaguars giving the Packers that much of a run. It really was miraculous that the Packers were able to escape Jacksonville with a win. But they did. So this means one of two things, or maybe even both. It could mean that the Packers are not as good as we thought they were going to be this year. Or it could mean that the Jaguars are starting to become that team we felt they were becoming with their drafting of the young talent. So it could be a combination of both. Really, I'm leaning more towards Jaguars starting to arrive more so than Green Bay falling off. I'm going to lean towards that because Green Bay, they still were able to pull it out, which alludes to that Green Bay luck and Green Bay magic. But the Jaguars really did give them the business. And if you're one of the three Jacksonville fans in this world, just take comfort in knowing your team is actually going to be somewhat of a threat in your garbage division this year. So good for you. Yeah, you deserve an extra cookie there, Jaguars fans, for that one. The Bears and Texas game illustrated how ineffective Jay Cutler is when he's getting hit. So, Chicago, if you're a Bears fan, your team is also not very good. Your team's not very good. You know it. Everybody knows it. You've been complaining about it for years. Nothing's going to happen. Smoking Jay Cutler's still there, and he does terrible when he's getting hit. Most quarterbacks do, However, a quarterback with the size and mobility of a Cutler, you expect him to do a little bit better under pressure, but he doesn't. So it is what it is. The Carson Wentz era has officially started in Philadelphia, right? Unfortunately, it happened against the Browns, which is probably going to be the worst team in the league. Like, I don't see many teams. Maybe the Rams beat them in a race to the bottom because, Jeff Fisher and shitty ownership in a new city. But really, the Browns are a pretty bad franchise. Snake bitten was the word I use, and it's pretty good. So all the things that you thought were going to happen did in fact happen. The Eagles won, and RG3 is done for the season. It is what it is. Like, I saw the Eagles winning. I didn't see RG3 going out during that game, but he did, and that's it. I mean, that's how it happens. That's how it happens with the Browns. So the Bucks and Falcons game, right? So I did not predict the Bucks being that strong this year, and I'm not even going to say I'm disappointed. I'm not. I'm actually proud of the Bucks for playing the way they did. They did a good job against the Falcons. The Falcons are starting to fade. They did not utilize Julio Jones as maybe they could have, or maybe the Bucks defense is starting to return to some sense of glory. It's interesting. Your boy Jameis Winston, rape and crab enthusiast Jameis Winston, played a pretty good game. Uncle Rico played a good game. So he's probably a terrible person. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's a terrible, disgusting, horrible person. But he is a good football player, and he did well against the division rival last week. So kudos to the Tampa Bay fans for sticking through and actually getting a win against the division rival. So it'd be nice to see the Bucks push for that wild card spot, only to be knocked off by the Panthers, because that's how it's going to happen. But hey, it's nice to finally be in position to choke. I mean, that's take comfort in that. The Tampa fans, take comfort. The Vikings did not start Sam Bradford, right? They had just acquired Sam Bradford from Philly for like a first-round draft pick and a conditional fourth-round draft pick, and it was much scrutinized, and that sparks the beginning of the Carson Wentz era in Philly, which is a big deal, right? So you get your shiny new Bradford out of the shipping container you sent him in with all the bubble wrap because you don't want him to break while he's on the plane, and you sit him down because you don't want to throw this fragile Heisman winner out there in the field without fully understanding the offense, which was okay. So you start your bullshit quarterback, and he wins the game for you because your defense is scoring points. So good for you. However, you're playing against the Titans, another one of those teams that are just pretty damn bad right now. Despite Mariota's presence, they're not a good team. So you beat the Titans. Congratulations. The defense scored points. That's a good sign. So when game manager extraordinaire Sam Bradford steps into the game, possibly this week, today maybe, you might do well. You might have some good. Maybe he does well. We're going to see. I'm looking to see Bradford start this week. So, I don't know. We'll go over the predictions later on in the show. But yeah. So the Bengals somehow beat the Jets despite sacking Andy Dalton 7 fucking times. That defensive line got after his ass, and they put him down. And you know what? The Jets still lost. Why'd they lose? Because A.J. Green freaking had his way with Darrelle Revis, right? Darrelle Revis is a goddamn Hall of Famer. He is a goddamn Hall of Famer. But he was getting his cookies taken by A.J. Green, who, mind you, if you pay attention to football, A.J. Green is a student of Julio Jones, I want to say. Like, Julio Jones, pulls this guy aside and, trains him up. I think they went to the same school. So it's interesting. Like, A.J. Green seems to be reaching into this new level of his career where he's going to be truly an elite receiver. But it could be just the beginning of the end for Revis. Revis has been very good for a very long time and arguably the best cornerback in the game for several years running. But at some point, you just can't keep up no more. And he may be at that point. We'll see how he recovers against the number one receivers this year. But this could be the beginning of the end for him, which is unfortunate. But, this is football. No one can play forever. It is what it is. So the Raiders game, Raiders versus Saints. I had a pleasure. All right, so I grabbed my oldest daughter, who we shall call D1, and we suit up and we go to the Green Turtle because they're not showing the Eagles game on television on Comcast because I live in Ravens country and the Ravens are playing at the same time, so I wasn't going to be able to see the game. So I go to the Green Turtle and I take my oldest daughter, and we got our Eagles gear on, and we're in a little corner, Eagles corner of the bar, and there's several games that we can see, right? Because it's not like all the screens are just Eagles games. They're showing all kinds of games, but the Raiders and Saints game was on. And let me tell you, the Giant Balls of the Week award goes to Del Rio. Jack Del Rio wins that because they ran up the score. Both teams just had a field day with scoring points, but it came down to where you can play for the tie and go to overtime, or you can play for the win. And I'm telling you, the addition of the 2-point conversion has added such an entertaining dynamic to the NFL. So Del Rio decides we're going to win the game. We're going to play to win the game. And they did. Like, Crabtree picks it up and they win. And it's like, wow, right? But the Saints, Drew Brees is never to be discounted. He's got like less than a minute left to push it down and score. And if they get a field goal, they win. But they didn't get close enough. The kicker missed, and game was over. So wow, the gamble pays off for the Raiders. So congratulations. Now, of course, it's a 50-50 chance, like literally a 50-50 chance that they win that game going for two. They could lose it right there, they can win it, or almost a sure win. And kudos to the coach for putting it on the line and showing faith in his players and going for it. That's going to mean a lot as the season goes forward, I believe, as far as developing this young team and their sense of identity and confidence that the staff has with them. So good job in Oakland. Well, good job Oakland in doing that. I want to say they were in New Orleans for that one. So good job. The Chargers gave up a massive lead and lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Andy Reid-led Chiefs. Captain Checkdown, Alex Smith-led Chiefs. They blew like a 30-point lead against the Chiefs. Sweet mother of all things holy. That is a shitty team. If you're a Charger or Chargers fan, you should feel like shit because you are shit and you have shitty fans and you have shitty owner, and you should just feel bad because you are in fact bad. You don't give up a lead like that. That's one of the largest I think the largest comeback in franchise history for the Chiefs, and you guys let that happen. But you don't get a record-setting comeback without somebody choking. So I congratulate you on your role as choker on that one. So I guess you can rest easy knowing you helped out somebody there, San Diego. God, you guys fucking suck. All right, so the Seahawks beat the Dolphins, right? Which I predicted that. I predicted the Seahawks to beat the Dolphins, right? But I didn't predict Russell Wilson injuring his ankle. And I believe Ndamukong Suh stepped on it because that's kind of what he does. Like, what is an NFL season without Ndamukong Suh stomping on someone literally? I mean, wow. But yeah, so his ankle got roughed up. They managed to hold on for the win. But I'm not sure if this is going to impact them in the immediate future because the Seahawks' next game is against the Rams, and we're going to cover my predictions for that game a little later on. But one of Russell Wilson's biggest assets is his ability to escape the pass rush and be mobile. He knows how to run. He knows how to gouge you for the yards on the ground. He knows how to slide and avoid contact. He's a smart player in regards to that. He's a very smart player with how he uses his feet and how he buys time in the pocket. He's very good at that. It makes for an entertaining game. So for him to have an injured ankle and possibly lose some of that mobility, it could play a part, but he is a competent passer. So it may not. We'll just have to see as the week plays. I mean, this is why you play the game. So the Lions won a shootout in Indy without Megatron against the Colts. And honestly, this could be an interesting season for both teams. Very much so. I mean, they're both kind of like always on the edge. You're trying to see what's Andrew Luck going to do. What's Stafford going to do? Stafford's they're both interesting characters. Luck, of course, is more loquacious, but he looks like he lives under a bridge and eats children. So I don't know how you market that, but they do a good job of marketing it. He seems aware of that too. Like, I think he grew his neck beard out specifically to look like a bridge troll. But it could be interesting. Both teams just kind of seem like, they could be in position to do some good things. The AFC South is going to be fairly interesting to watch. And with Green Bay barely escaping Jacksonville, the NFC North could be interesting as well. We'll see. So the Giants, the Giants won a very close game in Dallas. Now Dallas lost the game in the most Dallas way imaginable, right? The guy catches the ball. All he's going to do is go out of bounds, and it gives their ice-cold kicker a chance at a super long field goal, but this is Dan Bailey. He's the NFL's most accurate kicker, active right now. He's got ice water running through his veins. And you know what? What does his asshole do? Turn up field and try to win the game. Des Bryant, is losing his mind, freaking with signal flags and freaking Red Star Cluster flares going up saying, get out of bounds, you fucking moron. And then he doesn't, and the game's over. Holy shit, right? So Dallas lost in the most Dallas way possible, and it was beautiful to behold, and I'm glad I got to witness it, right? And I hope for many, many more losses just like that throughout the season, because I feel like a loss like that, where no shit, it's all your fault, is much more crippling psychologically than like getting blown out, you know? So, and the thing was, like, Dak Prescott played a good game. Like, he played a very smart game. He wasn't the miracle, you know, like Tony Romo, where he's able to pull it out in the end. But just like Romo, the team decided to collapse around him. He did all he was asked to do as a quarterback, and probably more, in playing a smart game as a rookie in his first start. And they wasted it. And so congratulations, Dallas, for wasting that. So, yay. Also, the Giants' defense is looking better than it did last year. So, as usual, the NFC East is nowhere near decided after Week 1. This division probably will go to Week 16 or 17 before it's decided. Between the top two contenders. So the Giants could very well be one of those teams this year. Their spending spree on defense looks to have benefited them, at least against Dallas, and that supposedly stellar offensive line, which could not help get the running game going. But like I said, Dallas did that Dallas thing, and Dallas lost the results, so I'm happy. So what I'm not happy about is the Cardinals shitting themselves at home, losing to life-size Ken doll Janine Garofalo. You know, Arizona, this is why nobody fucking likes you. This is why no one takes you serious, right? So you have a chance to prove you're a legitimate team, and then you fucking stink it up at home against a team with their backup quarterback in the game, in his first goddamn start, right? So the NFL, you know, the federal judge finally upholds the Deflategate fucking suspension for 4 games. Brady is sitting, and now you have Garofalo in there, and you fucking shit yourself. You let him march up and down the field and score points on you. It was crazy. And then at the end of the game, you actually have a chance to win, and then you miss the field goal because Cardinals. So, I mean, I don't know. It's like the Cardinals play most of the time just below the elite level of who they're playing. Like, if they're playing an elite team like Seattle or Green Bay, they tend to just play just below them. Just below them. Unless it's Carolina, in which case it's free interceptions for everyone. But, you know, whatever. Also, for those of you who watched that game, was I the only one who noticed, like, he was, like, Garofalo was snorting lines of fucking smelling salts on the sideline? Like, this guy was mainlining that shit. And I've never seen that before. And I don't know what it means, but he was definitely hitting up smelling salts in a way I didn't think he could. But he got a win out of it, so I guess it works. I don't know. Also, the Steelers did exactly what I knew they would do against this imposter.
What we thought they were.
Washington had no business being the division champs last year.
But they are,
and because they were division champs, they seem to think that their shitty performance last year is going to carry over and make them all of a sudden good, because they still haven't managed to shore up the defensive line. They go and address a non-need in getting Josh Norman, but they didn't even use Josh Norman. They didn't even adjust. Pittsburgh was having their way on the ground, and Antonio Brown was doing his dance all over the freaking defensive backfield, and they never slid their $70 million acquisition. They never slid him over to cover the best receiver in the NFL. I don't even know how you can sleep at night knowing that your defensive game plan was simply to cut the field in half, and then Pittsburgh just goes, okay, I'll put my best guy over there. You can guard these scrubs that have a total of 3 catches between them, and you don't adjust to that.
That's not
if you're
make
supposed
sense.
to do, I mean, I understand, like, the individual defender, like, having to go with the game plan, but at some point you got to go, seriously, coach, like, seriously, this guy is eating up my counterpart with some amazing things. Why don't you just let me shadow this guy? But nope, Washington didn't do that, and as a result, Washington got their asses handed to them, as Washington should have. So they are who we thought they were, both times. Yay. Also, D'Angelo Williams hit him for like 143 yards on the ground. I don't see Washington finishing any better than third. They may even finish at the bottom. I don't know. So that pathetic Rams-Niners game that I predicted, I thought I had that one going like 6-9, right? But that's not what happened. Actually, the Chip Kelly, casual racism enthusiast Chip Kelly led the 49ers, put up 28 points on the Rams. The Rams, Todd Gurley had like 50 yards, if that. I mean, it was a pathetic showing. It was a pathetic showing for a team who just relocated back to their actual home city, playing a division rival that's also a dumpster fire. To give up 28 points and not score a single point was pretty shitty. Case Keenum apparently was seeing visions of everything in the backfield. He was scared. The Niners understood their entire passing tree by the way they lined up. I mean, I don't know how bad you have to coach a team for the defenders to know exactly what routes are going to get run before the ball is snapped. Just by the formation, they knew exactly what the Rams were going to do. I've never heard a defender say that. And it was like that for the whole game. And as a result, the quarterback was scared, and he played scared, and he was shit. But at the end of the day, after all this, all right, shitty quarterback play, their number one pick, Jared Goff, is still sitting on the bench as number 3 on the depth chart. So let's go back to how shitty he really is. If Case Keenum, who couldn't freaking hit the side of a damn house, on last Sunday, is starting, and you're not even behind him, you're 3rd in the depth chart, how shitty are you? Oh my God. Yeah, the Rams are in bad shape, and they should feel bad. But I guess the light at the end of the tunnel is they just signed a Jeff Fisher to a 3-year contract extension, so I can see y'all going 7-9 for the next 3 years past this year. So take comfort in that, there, Rams fans. That's fucking inexplicable. They should have fired that asshole, but nope, he's still there. I think he's got some dirt on Sam Kroenke or something like that. I think he's got like some pictures or something, because there's no way this guy should persist as a coach, as a head coach in the NFL, especially that franchise. He had like that one good year in Tennessee when he had Steve McNair as a quarterback. But I want to say that Steve McNair was a goddamn freight train of a player, and you were going to do well with him no matter what. But since then, he hasn't done shit, and it seems like no one can see this. So Jeff Fisher, he needs to get his punk ass fired. But nope, contract extension, so I guess that's nice. Yeah, fuck that team. So, on to NFC East standings, right? So last week, week 1, Washington and Dallas both lost. And they play each other in Washington in week 2, which means someone in the division can start 0-2, right? So if the Cowboys lose because they lost to the Giants last week, they will be 0-2 with 2 divisional losses, which puts them firmly at the bottom of the division for a little while, right? But if Washington loses, it gives them 1 divisional loss, and it puts them at the bottom, but not quite in the bottom, because Dallas would have 1 divisional win. So what I'm hoping for is like a tie, because I want to see how that affects the standings at the end of the day, if neither team really win. So as an Eagles fan, that's what I want to see. I want to just see chaos. Chaos is entertaining for me, and our division is pretty chaotic typically. So hopefully, we'll get a tie. If not, I actually kind of hope Dallas loses, because Dallas losing would have a much larger impact, because I don't see the Washington team doing many things this year besides maybe winning a couple games in the division. And the next segment is called What the Fuck Buffalo. So first of all, if you've never seen footage of tailgating in Buffalo, I suggest you Google it and look at some YouTube videos. Buffalo Bills fans party in the parking lot like no other group of fans, I think, ever can or should party. You're talking about beer bongs, putting people through folding tables, just the craziest shit happens in Buffalo. And as an NFL fan, it's entertaining. Like, these guys are having so much fun setting themselves on fire. And I think they should continue doing that, because really, there's no joy in watching the game. The joy is in the parking lot, getting hammered with your buddies and doing irresponsible, inexplicably dangerous things to yourself. Holy shit. So with that being said, today's What the Fuck Buffalo is, Buffalo's already played the Thursday game. So they got 2 games in the books already, right? And they've lost them both, right? So against the Ravens, they were pretty bad on offense. But they scored 30 points against the Jets. They scored 30 points against the Jets, and they still lost. 30 points. That's a pretty good score. Like, if you score 30 points, typically you're going to win that game. But they scored over 30 points, and they lost. So, there was a firing. Oh my God, a week 2 firing. And it was the offensive coordinator. Now, if you look at Rex Ryan's twin brother, Rob, who I'm looking to be entertained by this year for horrible reasons. But if you look at him, he's only led good defenses twice in his career. He's only had 2 noteworthy defenses. For all intents and purposes, he's a really, really shitty defensive coordinator. Yet, he remains in the OC, who just put up 30 points, gets fired, throwing Tyrod Taylor and Sammy Watkins and Shady McCoy into a state of flux as players while they shift to a new offensive scheme under a new coordinator who, for all I know, hasn't been named yet, if they even hire one. So good job, Rex, on keeping their brother employed, who's honestly incompetent, and firing the guy who may have been actually pretty good. Good job on that. Good job. Buffalo, look, you're going to be shit this year. You're in the AFC East. The Patriots have been stomping on that division for the last decade and a half, and no one seems to be able to get their shit together long enough to make a push and challenge them. Buffalo, you're part of the goddamn problem. Right, at least the Jets managed to get Fitzgerald on, who had a great game, mind you, with Ford, who had a great game. They had two receivers over 100 yards receiving for each. You had a running back with over 100 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns, and Fitzgerald was lighting them up. Like, the Jets, they did better, and but they're part of the problem too, because the Patriots are going to whoop their ass, because that's what happens. But AFC East, I need you to get your shit together. I need you to get your shit together so that someone other than the goddamn Patriots wins your division. Please. Please. Also, I don't see Rex Ryan finishing this season. He'll be fired by week fucking 12. Actually, no, I'll tell you what. Let's do something interesting. Let's fire him by week 14. Week 14, Rex Ryan's out of Buffalo, and I think Rob will persist until Rex is fired. So, yes. So, with every season, there's some shitty officiating, right? So today marks the beginning of week 2. Actually, I'm sorry, Thursday marked the beginning of week 2. And there's some pretty shitty officiating, right? There's some non-calls, there's some phantom calls. We get them. They suck. And it seems like we see more and more of them each year. Like last year it was bad, and it was worse than the year prior, which was worse than the year prior. So I'm just going to come out and say it. I want the replacement refs. Remember years ago, like 4 years ago or something like that, the refs all went on strike, and then they brought it like the Pop Warner refs, and those games were crazy because you never knew how they were going to call something. They were truly the X factor, right? So the Fail Mary, replacement refs. Oh my God. Like they would call something and the coach would come out and be like, that wasn't that. And the refs would be like, you know what, you're right. And they would change the goddamn call. I mean, holy shit. You're talking about, these guys are playing fantasy football. They're like middle school teachers. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful to have these guys calling the games. And honestly, I want them back. Honestly, all right, so if the NFL would make me a concession, right, when it comes to officiating, I want one game per week called by replacement refs. I want it called by replacement refs, and I don't want it announced until like halftime. Because holy shit, I want that. Can you do that for me, NFL? If you can give me the replacement refs for one game per week, I would be happy with that. I would be so fucking happy with that. So, moving on to my uneducated prediction for week 2, right? So, I'm actually 11-4. Like I said, I'm 11-4. I personally feel that's a pretty goddamn good percentage. Right? If you look at these asshats on TV and how they fared throughout the season, very rarely do you have someone start off 11-4. I'm just saying, like, these guys were pretty shit-tastic with their picks, and I think I'm doing pretty good. So yay me. Hooray for Dirty. So we got the Bengals playing the Steelers. I see the Steelers winning that one 28-21. Titans versus the Lions. If the Lions carry over their performance from last week to this week, I see them putting up a clean 35 points, and I see them holding the Titans to 10. We'll see what Derrick Henry does in the running game. He was a bit of a force last week, but like he's one dude. And DeMarco Murray still sucks. If you think otherwise because he scored a touchdown, seriously look at the stat line. DeMarco Murray still fucking sucks. So spray tan sucks. The Ravens, I see blowing out the Browns. Now, part of this is the Ravens are somewhat recharged with the thought that they have a good defense, but mostly it's because the Browns are a terrible team. So I think this is more because the Browns are terrible than the Ravens being good. So like I said, Ravens, don't feel accomplished yet. Do not feel happy about your team. Do not feel accomplished. You're playing the Browns. They are shit. You should win this game 21-3. And honestly, if the Browns score more than 3 points with their backup quarterback playing, you would have failed. All right, so the Cowboys versus Washington in Washington. I see the Cowboys winning that game. I do. As much as I would like for them to lose just for the sake of chaos, I think they're going to win because Washington had a huge need on the defensive line throughout the offseason, and they did not address it through the draft, and they did not address it in free agency. So they still have a huge need. They just re-signed Cullen Jenkins, who sucks, to the defensive line because they got their asses handed to them through the middle. Now, Pittsburgh is a Super Bowl contender. They're a hell of a team. But there's no reason to just get owned like that at the line of scrimmage. And honestly, there's some pretty good run blocking in the East. if the Washington team does not address that, they are looking at a really long season. And you've got Ezekiel Elliott, who only had 50 yards last week, looking to improve himself, and Alfred Morris, who they unceremoniously let go to a division rival. So yeah, they're coming out with something to prove. Plus, they're much vaunted offensive line, who honestly I'm not even understanding how that still carries, because they haven't really been doing well as a unit. But whatever. Hey, look, if their offensive line is as good as everyone says they are, then they're going to have a field day on the ground against the Washington team. So that could be interesting. Be sure you tune in and watch that game. It's getting played later on today, and I have the Cowboys winning 28-24. So we'll see. Honestly, still, I somehow want both teams to lose, but I don't think I'll get that. So the Saints versus Giants. Now, historically, this game between Eli Manning and Drew Brees has been a literal shootout with teams routinely scoring 30-plus points on both sides. And I have that happening again. I have the Saints scoring 30 and the Giants scoring 35. I think the Giants' defense will get to Brees enough to keep them from scoring as many points as they could. And I don't have the Saints defense providing enough resistance to stop the Giants from putting up something like a 30, 35, or 40 points on them. So ultimately, we're going to see what happens. I mean, the Saints did just lose a very close game against the Raiders, but like I said, I don't see them being good enough to beat the Giants team in what has classically been a shootout over the last several years. So we have the Niners playing the Panthers, and I have the Panthers winning that one 27-10. I don't think while they were able to walk all over the Rams, the Niners are still a doormat franchise right now. And Carolina's going to wear their asses out, especially after losing a dirty-ass game to the Broncos. I could see them wanting to come out and the Niners paying for that at the end of the day. So that could be a bloodbath. We have the Dolphins against the Patriots. Dolphins, I have them scoring 21 against the Patriots 24. Divisional game. The Dolphins normally get up for these games, but the Patriots typically prevail. The Dolphins' defense is solid, but if the Janine Garofalo magic keeps going and he snorts 5 or 6 lines of smelling salts, there's a chance that he could bring another win. So if this team goes 4-0 without Tom Brady, can we have the discussion again that Tom Brady is just a really good system quarterback? Because that would have been the second backup to do exceptionally well in the absence of Tom Brady. It would be the second backup. So is it Brady, or is it the system he plays in? I've always said it's the system. Since Matt Castle came out there and was wearing people out, I think the system that they play in is exceptional. That Belichick does a great job preparing his quarterbacks and his team, no matter who's back there. But that being said, I don't think Brady's the best ever. I think he's really good, but I think he is a result of the system they play in. I think you can stick almost any quarterback of competence back there and they'll do well. I mean, shit, could you imagine like a Peyton Manning playing in that system where the defense is just typically really good and the offense is so quarterback friendly? I mean, we'll see. Either way, the game's got to get played. The Dolphins do stand up for these games, but I don't have them winning. I still have the Patriots winning that game 24-21. So we also have the Chiefs playing the Texans. I don't think the Chiefs are going to recapture that magic and get a comeback. The Texans are a much more complete team than the last opponent, and they're not going to give up a 30-point lead or something like that. So I have the Chiefs scoring 24 and the Texans winning with 28. It'll be a close game, but like I said, I see the Texans winning. I just think they have too many new toys on offense to really lose that game against the Chiefs. We have the Seahawks versus the Rams. I say that even with a possibly hobbled Russell Wilson, I have this team scoring 28 points. And I have the Rams finally scoring some points. I have them scoring 10. Now, how they score their 10, whether it be a blown coverage or an actual grind down the field, I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be a fumble touchdown on defense. Who knows? But I do have the Rams putting up 10 points. We'll see, though. The Rams ultimately have to go out and score at some point because they haven't scored in L.A. since '94. The Bucs versus the Cardinals. All right, so the Cardinals just came off an inexplicable loss to the Patriots, and if they're a team of note, if they are who everyone thinks they are, they're going to win this game, right? The Bucs are still a young team. The quarterback is pretty solid, Jameis Winston. The defense is coming around. I can see them posing a threat, but I don't know if they'll win. I have the Bucs only scoring 24, so I have this game going Cardinals 35, Bucs 24. I've been wrong with regards to the Bucs already, but for the sake of the Cardinals being allegedly one of the NFL's elite teams, I don't think the Bucs are there yet, but the game's got to get played, so we'll see. We have the Jaguars versus the Chargers, and I have the Jaguars winning that game 21-14. All right, so they stand to actually score more points, honestly. It depends on if the Chargers defense shows up enough. Blake Bortles, who looks like Ben Roethlisberger but is like 12 years younger somehow, is a pretty solid quarterback. He throws the ball a lot. He does well too. He's got some damn good receivers. So like I said, but they're a young team. They're a young team and they make mistakes. But if they win this game after giving Green Bay such a tough time, they may have turned the corner and they may be the class of the AFC South this year. It's going to be between them and the Texans, honestly, I feel, depending on how this game goes. All right, so we have the Falcons versus the Raiders. Hey, Falcons are going 0-2. The Raiders are beat another NFC South opponent. It won't be as close, though. I have it 28-20 Raiders. I believe that Julio Jones being what he is, they also have Amari Cooper on the other side, and they got Derek Carr, who I believe is better than Matt Ryan. I believe he is. I believe Derek Carr has not reached his full potential in Oakland yet, and that he's going to be substantially better than Matt Ryan. And I think that he's better than Ryan now. I think he's better than Matt Ryan right now, and I think he's got better weapons. And they still have a pretty solid defense. We'll see if Khalil Mack shows up and if he has an impact throughout this game. He didn't have much of an impact last game, I believe. So next game will be the Colts versus Denver. I believe this to be a low-scoring affair unless the Denver defense can start putting points on the board, which they have potential to do. They are still the best defense in the NFL. So Colts 6, Denver 17. The Broncos have shown that they are able to stymie athletic big quarterbacks. Like they were able to get away with blatant headshots on Cam Newton. I don't think they're going to do that against Andrew Luck. I think the refs will actually call that against Luck. There's a dynamic there that I'm not even going to mention. But yeah, they're going to call those headshots against Luck that they didn't call for Cam Newton expected. So the Packers versus the Vikings. I believe that Sam Bradford will play this week for the Vikings. He should start, but I don't think he's going to be enough to overcome Aaron Rodgers and his bag of magic tricks. I can see the Packers winning this divisional game 24-21. I don't see it at all being a blowout. I see the Vikings defense doing a good job of slowing down Aaron Rodgers in that offense with a returned Jordy Nelson. I'm just not sure that the Bradford-led offense is going to be able to score enough points. Ultimately, it's going to boil down to how effective Adrian Peterson is. He wasn't super effective last week, but if he shows up, this game could go the other way. This is truly a toss-up. Truly a toss-up, but I think, Green Bay has typically dominated this division, and I don't see that really stopping anytime soon. So it is what it is. Also, we have the Eagles on Monday night playing against the Bears. And the Bears are better than the Browns. The Bears are still a shit team, though. This would be the game that kind of is a much better test for Carson Wentz, right? It's a much better test for that Eagles offense. The Bears defense is better than the Browns defense. The Bears offense is better than the Browns offense. This is a wholly better team. So if the Eagles are going to become that dominant force in the NFC East under Carson Wentz, they've got to win this game. You've got to win a game against a mediocre opponent if they're going to truly be elite. You can't be elite if you can't beat shitty opponents. So this game would be a big indicator as to whether or not all this excitement about Carson Wentz is legit. And I want to see it. Of course, I want to see my Birds win. Right, 28-24 is what I got it going. Of course, I'm a fanboy in this case, so I may have skewed it, but I see the Bears going 0-2 to start the season. I just don't think they have enough. Alshon Jeffries, though, he's a problem, and he could be what wins the game for him at the end of the day. He's a big boy. They got a big receiving core, and the Eagles' secondary is already beat up. So, we'll see how that goes. So this week in Philly media fuckery, right? So it's been a minute since I actually had one of these that was noteworthy, but with the emergence of Carson Wentz, we have some media fuckery, right? So if you tune in to the Philadelphia media, you'll pick up on these themes, right? The themes are Carson Wentz's tears can cure heart disease. Yeah, Carson Wentz's laughter can cure childhood cancer. Carson Wentz once saved a man from certain death and gave him life advice, and that man grew up to become Chuck Norris. Carson Wentz once saved the world from the alien invasion. The Philly media has been making a huge deal of this rookie. I mean, huge. He played a game. Right, he's got one game in his hopefully long body of work. He's got one game, and he played pretty good football against a really shitty team. And people seem to be kind of like not weighing that he beat the Browns. He beat the Browns. That's really nothing. You should beat the Browns. They're a terrible team. They're snake bitten. You should beat the Browns. Damn, 9 times out of 10, you should beat the Browns. But he beat the Browns, right? So he did pretty good. Like I said, he threw for 274 yards or something to that effect, and 2 touchdowns, no picks. He took some hits. He held onto the ball a couple times. The receivers had some drop passes because, Philly. But ultimately, the Eagles won against a really bad team. So let's stop the hype on this guy. Like, fucking Joe Biden and Obama were talking about Carson Wentz. Now, Biden's a huge Eagles fan. Like, he's from Cranston, and he was a senator for Delaware. So, all right, he's a local dude. I can see him being an Eagles fan because he's local, right? But for him to tell Obama to jump on the Wentz wagon as they gear up to play Chicago, right? I mean, I guess in the greater scheme of things, it's nice to have some levity in the political discourse, and football is a great distractor from all the ugliness that goes on with election season. But holy shit, dude, let's let this kid play some fucking football for real. And maybe by week 6, if he's scorching folks, yeah, let's make some hype about the kid. But not after one week. Not after. There's so much other shit to talk about right now. Let's let this rookie from fucking North Dakota play some football and prove that he's worth admiration. Just prove it. So, I mean, that's some bullshit. But I get it, fucking Philly, let's latch on to whatever we can to make a story out of it. So, between the hot takes about Wentz being great, and God forbid you have a bad game or two, and then he'll be the worst thing ever. The Philly media is so fucking fickle that damn near everything they engage in is fuckery. But that's this week's Philly media fuckery. One game against the Browns, a Hall of Fame career, does not make Philly media. You've been warned once. I'm gonna warn you again. Let Wentz play the damn game. Let him play. So, this beer of the week is Stella Artois, right? Just your basic beer, right? So Stella Artois, hold on. Yep. Yeah. Stella Artois is not a bad beer. Like, say in your early youth, when you were old enough to drink, you were consuming things like Budweiser, Bud Light, and Miller Lite, right? But say like you've gotten substantially older and your palate's become more refined, but you still want a light beer that you can just kind of drink without consequence on the weekends. Stella Artois is good for that. It's like a more sophisticated Miller Lite with a little bit more body to it. I think it's a really good game time beer. It's not as heavy. It doesn't sit on the palate like last week's beer did, but it's pretty good. It's got adequate alcohol content, but it's really just a well-rounded good beer. So if you're going to buy a 12-pack of something and you feel like spending the extra $3, I would recommend the Stella Artois. You will not be disappointed. It is not a hipster crafty beer. It's a mainstream beer, so you won't feel too classy, but you'll feel classier than you were when you was drinking Bud Light, which it's fucking swill and should never be consumed by people. So that is my beer of the week. And also, the Phillies still very much suck. And unless they make the postseason, I'm going to stop paying attention to them altogether. Not that I dedicate a lot of attention and time to them, because if you listen to the podcast, you'll know good and damn well I don't. But they're a pretty shitty franchise. Also, the Cardinals in St. Louis suck. So now that St. Louis doesn't have a football team for me to slander, I'm going to slander their baseball team for as long as I can, because fuck the city of St. Louis. But yeah, so please, I think I've got some new listeners. I think I was able to socialize the show at work and a couple other places, and I think I got some new listeners. So for all those listeners who sat through last week's or whatever, my body of work, and have come back for this week for more, I thank you. Hey, thanks. It's nice to have some new ears listening in. And like I tell everyone every week, I would like to receive some of your most passionate hate mail, honestly, because I know that there's like Cowboys fans and Washington fans and other fans of teams that I've besmirched on a regular basis. And you know what? Some of you may feel a certain kind of way about me besmirching your franchise. And I want to hear about it. Please let me know how you feel about me besmirching your franchise. Hell, give me some content. I don't care. Look, I'm looking forward. I enjoy engagement. So engage me. Send me some email to dirtdiggler2823@gmail.com. Right? And tell a friend. Hell, you know what? If I got 20 Cowboys fans hitting my inbox telling me I'm a piece of shit because XYZ, just know that I will state that on my show. I will call you out, and it'll be glorious, and we'll talk about it, and it'll be great, and we can have coffee at the end. I don't care. So, also, hey, look, find me on iTunes. Find me on Stitcher. Find me on SoundCloud. Find me on Mixcloud. Yo, tell a friend. Yeah, I really enjoy this, and I like doing the show, and I like it reaching out to people. And honestly, you know what? It'll be good. So also, hey, I've had a lot of people come back and say they like the music, right? The music on the show. right? So the music on the show is produced by a gentleman named RTO Beats. You can find him on SoundCloud, right? He's got some a little CD out that's got a lot of his music on it. The guy does great work. He does all my music. He does all my music, and he will do all my music because he's awesome. So I wouldn't have it any other way. So if you're interested in the music, you like the music, the background music, the intro music, the outro music, whatever. If you like the music, you need to go find RTO Beats. Go find him. If you can't find him, then like I said, hit me up on my inbox. I will point you to RTO Beats. Because really, I respect the man's hustle when he's doing a good job. And he's got a good hustle going on, a good job. So support this guy. You know, if you're into music, buy his music, rent his music, lease his music. I don't know how that works. But support this guy. And, so that's it. Hey, it's been real, it's been fun, and it's been real fun. Dirt Diggler out.